Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to this week's Feature Photographer of the Week. We are here with Michael Anthony. He is based down in Dallas, Texas, but also has run a studio in LA for quite a while. My name is Dustin Lucas. I am the co-owner of Evolve. My wife and I purchased this business a little over 2 years ago from Sal Sincata. I've actually worked for Sal for over a decade and are taking this business into new spaces, new services. Let me hand it off to Mike to talk a little bit about his studio.
How you guys doing today? Yeah, I've been a Evolve client now for over a decade as well. I think we started with you guys back in 2012. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer based in Dallas, Texas. It's kind of a new thing for me to say that because we just moved here about 6 months ago. As Dustin mentioned, we have a studio in Los Angeles as well, and we just opened this one as our secondary studio, focusing on family portraits and dog photography and all of those things as well. But yeah, we've been primarily a wedding studio for the last I want to say now 14 years since we opened, and we've done high volume weddings, we've done like boutique, luxury weddings, and everything in between as well. So yeah, that's a little background about our business, and like I said, been a partner with you, Dustin, for a really long time now, and want to continue to do that moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we share a fun history with Evolve. Long time ago, like I'm a terrible editor. Sal sent me off to just like work on color correction. I'm pretty sure I turned some of your people orange. I mean, it was always a good start. And now, in owning the business, we're always built for different things. And that kind of jumps us into, I mean, you've always been like wedding portrait photographer, LA. I mean, you're slowing down on weddings actively. You're moving into volume portraits. I mean, talk to us about that transition. I mean, it's not easy, but it's been an interesting change for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, we as wedding photographers, we had a very successful business, and we still do a lot of weddings, but we were able to save a lot of money, and that gave us the freedom to be able to trial things in this portrait business and get this thing, up and running. And like you mentioned, it's a volume portrait studio. We aim to do somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 portrait sessions between the two studios per year. So it's a significant amount of work, and as you can imagine, a lot of trial and error. A lot of things that we have done wrong over the last couple of years, a lot of things that we've done right.
Sure.
And it's just about refining and continuing to move forward and improve.
Well, talking about that workflow and pipeline, I mean, you have internal staff. Talk to me about like those growing pains that you guys have gone through from like explosive growth in weddings, explosive growth in volume, portraits, Jen's on the boudoir side. I mean, there's a lot of options, right? Talk to me about those growing pains.
Yeah, I mean, our first time ever really experiencing this was, I want to say back in 2015 when we decided, hey, we're going to start running a associate wedding photographer business, meaning we're going to have photographers shoot, under our name, and they're going to go out and represent the business. And we learned really quickly things not to do with that business model. We learned that we needed to make those people contractors rather than employees. We learned that there was a process of like introducing them to the client, like they should not be doing things like consultation, stuff like that. Obviously, a lot of things we learned through that process, but even more importantly, production became a really, really big sticking point for us, because when we were delivering a bunch of weddings, we went from, I want to say somewhere from 50 weddings to 100 weddings in a year. So we literally doubled our wedding output. And when we did that, we had a lot of deliverables, right? We were giving albums, packages, we were doing prints, we had all those images to edit, and there was no way logistically that we would have been able to handle all of that work internally or in-house. I mean, most of you know that, we started in LA, and as you can imagine, hiring employees in LA is prohibitively expensive. So, we found that finding an outsourcing partner not only gave us like better cost per for that particular role, but it also gives more reliability too and more consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I think for your business, I mean, you brought in other photographers. It can't just be you showing up to weddings. You're bringing in staff. Can't be you in the sales room. It can't just be Jen, right? You have to be able to scale your business, and that's a really big part of your business is print sales, which is what for a volume company, it usually doesn't come with volume sales. It's usually like volume weddings. You're in 25 cities. You're at HQ in one major city in the country, and you're all virtual staff all over the country. It's like online sales, and it's going, we're a $3 million company and we make $50,000 from pick time. You're like, holy shit, that's great for not lifting a finger, but only 50 grand coming out of $3 million in clients for you guys. I mean, talk about the in-person sales, which you haven't gone away from. You've obviously refined that process, and now your new bottleneck is delivering on what you're selling on time, because right, there's all these other kind of spaces. But talk to me about the print sales part of your business.
Yeah, and that bottleneck actually goes back even to weddings. Like when we go back 15 or 10 years ago, when we first started like growing again, we ran into similar production issues. But yeah, when it comes to IPS, like I always found that in order for our business to be sustainable, profitable, long-term, we had to have a sales process that went long beyond the contract. If you think in the terms of a wedding photographer, most wedding photographers will book a client. They have a payment plan that lasts up until the wedding. Sure. But a lot of times we're dealing with that client long after the wedding too, whether it's getting the album done, finishing a gallery, whatever it may be. And then your cash flow kind of, stops 30 days before the wedding if you're not selling any products. And we found early on that if we showed clients,
it's more important than that call, Mike. This is more important. That's money on the phone.
It might be, who knows? If we show clients like unique products, we found that they found interest in them, right? And I think one of the holdups that a lot of photographers have is like, what can I offer clients? My clients don't want products, right? And I can tell you like firsthand that if you start showing your clients products, they will want products. A lot of times, if we don't have them here, clients aren't going to be interested in them. In fact, Case in point, these samples you see behind me, the first week we opened our Texas studio, our sales average was somewhere around like $500 per shoot, which is not very good, right? The next week when we put these samples up, our sales average jumped over $600 more in addition to that, just by having samples here to show people, because it was showing they were able to see what the possibilities could be. So by being able to offer our clients different types of products, whether it be digital through editing or whether it be printed products like you see behind me, we're able to significantly increase the amount of revenue we have per client.
Okay. Yeah, I think the seeing is believing. Like can you imagine what you would look like with the better sky in the background? I feel like that concept becomes difficult if they're not seeing. And I know you've always, gone with a few different options when it comes to the art edits and the level of editing. I mean, from a volume portraits, you want to get the images good enough for them to buy, but you don't want to over edit them. That digs into cost. But if you under edit, they're looking at the pictures on the wall going, well, my images don't look polished like that. What are my images going to look like? And they have a lot of questions about what the product's going to look like. And I think that, with your process and how you've been, you handling it yourself internally to get a refined process, I think that's an important aspect to talk about as well. Like, no different than if I take on a new client, I'm going to want to be hands-on when it's something new so I can refine the process, put something together, but be involved. Then I'm going to document and hand it off to my team. At a certain point, you're not running the business when you're doing that. And I feel like our relationship's kind of always tied to, you get your hands into it, you hand it off, you refine a process. But, we always work well together of like, okay, I'm done messing with this. Can you make it get to this point? Can you make it better? And I think that that's any kind of collaboration and any kind of partner, whether it's someone you're spending money with or it's a fellow photographer or somebody else. I think those things are very important to share. You have to be able to pivot when the numbers don't make sense. Don't just keep doing something for 6 to 12 months going, maybe things are going to change. It's no different. Like for us to go after wedding photographers, well, weddings are, under the microscope right now, and it's tough times and people are worried about bookings, but not every wedding photographer, right? Middle market and lower market, thriving. Higher tier market, if you've separated yourself, you should have enough diversity in your business that you could go from 30 to 15 weddings and then have another line of business ready to go, or a line of business that's just like as much energy as you want to put into it. Weddings go down, you're going to ramp up marketing and the other thing. I think a lot of people, they don't have that line of business on reserve. They kind of put all their eggs in that one basket. And when that basket falls out, they're scrambling to start marketing for shit they've never even done. Right?
Yeah, I think if COVID taught us anything, it was that we had to diversify our services a little bit. We were 95 or 96% wedding revenue up until 2020. Sure. And then we decided we have to diversify that. We launched, Jen's Boudoir business. We ramped that up a little bit. We started doing portraits, headshots, commercial. I think it's really important because there's never going to be a time in business where everything is going perfect. In fact, it's more often than not, most things are not going to be going perfect. And you have to be able to turn to other things and ramp those other things, especially in something like weddings, which is feast or famine. It's very seasonal. There's going to be a lot of high times, a lot of low times. And it really goes beyond just like saving money for bad times. You really should find a way to have cash flow coming in all year long. And it's going to require, stepping outside the box and looking at different types of revenue streams. A lot of wedding photographers, they have a plethora of clientele that they can turn to for things like portraits, and we found early on the best type of clientele to go after.
Yeah, I think the slowing down nature of COVID, the looking at your business and in your systems and pipelines and all this like advanced technology, AI tools for editing, for writing copy, for social media. I mean, all this technology just like surged, right? And we all, if you were smart enough to kind of slow down, you're already like, I'm just sitting at home, I'm wearing pajama pants, I'm on Zoom calls all day, I'm not out shooting, I can't even shoot. The best thing you could have done is going, where can I start to automate and integrate different areas of my business? And I think that surgence of technology and software, the tech heavy leaning people leaned into it, others didn't. But I think that's a part of, these different tools that we're using. I mean, we're a technology based business. It would be silly for me not to implement new tools or just be like, sorry, we're Lightroom or bust. Sorry, we're Photoshop or bust. If I can get to the final product faster, I can be a little more competitive on pricing. I might be able to do more at the price I was yesterday, right? All those kind of things. I might be able to deliver at volume for you at the volume you need versus now I'm hiring 5 people to do the amount of work that it took 1 to 2. Now it can be competitive with you to scale with your business and again, meet your demands, right? I think the Evolve 5 to 10 years ago would have had a very hard time delivering on your 1,000 to 1,200 portraits without being, well, that's going to be like $150. You're like, I can't be profitable at $150 a set. Like, that's insane. We got to be at like a third that cost, in a range, like, and it's got to make sense. Numbers are numbers. So all those kind of things, I think across all businesses, technology and slowing down has helped us kind of play with that. Where have you found with your current staff integrating in technology to remove those those kind of low-end tasks off their plate to automate internally, not necessarily outsource, but to automate internally to allow your staff maybe more productivity, more opportunity? What does that look like in your business?
Well, you kind of already answered that question. It's automation that has significantly helped us. We use Disruptor Marketing, and it does a lot of things, right? It goes into all of our other systems. It actually replaces a lot of our systems. And it allows us to automate the most task-intensive part of our business, which is marketing and follow-up. Mm-hmm. It allows us to get through that. And it's only getting more and more advanced. AI is really, really changing the way that businesses in general, not just photography businesses, but every business goes about their marketing, their follow-up, and their lead generation. So, we've been able to lean on those things quite a bit, and it's helped us significantly in terms of creating more time to, refine the creative process or test new marketing ideas and marketing theories and really try to dial in our business to make it as efficient as possible.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's paramount for a business owner like yourself. Those are things you have to be working on. You have to be aware of, you have to implement. Otherwise, you're the dinosaur in the industry. You're not able to pivot and you're just waiting for the phone to ring, but you haven't really advanced or evolved your ability to get the phone to ring, right? For us as business owners, like working for somebody that had no problem getting the phone to ring, right? Imagine how difficult that is working for Sal. He's got his platforms, his educational, the phone's always ringing. I pick it up and close it. But now my job is to get the phone ringing. So from like an entrepreneurial standpoint, it's like, motherfucker, it's an insane level of like learning and changing and solving puzzles, all the time.
Yeah. And one thing Sal says is that running a business is like playing whack-a-mole, right? You're always trying
oh my God. Yeah.
It's a new problem. And sometimes, believe it or not, us as business owners, we can even be a little guilty of creating problems by trying to try things too quickly and try too many things at one time. And myself, I'm guilty of that quite a bit. Like I'm the type of person that when I want to try a new direction in the business or a new thing, I tend to like make big changes all at one time. And
Sure.
I always have to tell myself, as an entrepreneur, we're learning, right? Over the years, we become better at being business owners. And that might mean a little more patience. It might mean, hey, let's not try to make this huge change. Let's try this on one segment of our business and then apply it to others if it works. And then the biggest piece of advice that I can give any entrepreneur, young or old, anybody who's starting this business or has been doing it for a long time, is to measure all of your data. So a great example of how we might tie that into editing is, do you know how much time you're spending on post-production, right? And when I say post-production, I don't just mean the color correction process. I mean importing, culling, color correction, exporting, uploading to a client gallery, creating the sales galleries, right? And when you start looking at those numbers, it'll be pretty eye-opening, right? Because if you're a wedding photographer, you might be looking at AI solutions or whatever to help you do the color correction part of your business. But there's a whole lot of other things you have to do in addition to that: exporting the photos, going in and QCing them yourself, because AI never gets it 100%, right? And then you're going to have to upload your galleries, and then you have to maybe get the sales gallery ready. So there are a lot of different tasks that you spend a lot of time on. And if you know what that time is, you could actually be much better prepared to justify whether or not it's worth outsourcing that or doing it in-house. If you have 10 clients a year, might be better use of your money and your time to do it in-house. But if you're doing 20, 30, I can almost guarantee you, for us, that number originally was 30 weddings. When we hit 30 weddings, we're like, we're going to outsource our editing. And this is before any of the AI tools that are out there, right? Like it was back, and even now, I would say for me, 30 weddings, we have 30 weddings this year, and I'm finding myself too busy to keep up with production on them, right? Because I've got other things in the business I'm doing, which is why, we still work with you on everything. You guys handle basically every part of our business on the production side. And you do a lot of the services, the stuff that we were using manual labor for, one person going in there and actually moving galleries around and uploading galleries. And we were able to lean on you guys to help us with some of those things.
Yeah. I mean, but for you as the business owner, like you're going to see in measuring that data, right? Where am I getting 80 hours back a year, whether that's your time or employees' time? If you're head down dealing with those tools, dealing with, my computer's slow, now I'm going to the Apple store, like all this like stuff that distracts you from making money. You have no ability to understand where the waste is. And then you get to the end of the year and going, well, we have to downsize because I think we just have too many people. And your staff goes, well, what do you mean? I was busy all year. How? You're like, well, I don't know. We don't have as much money in the bank. It's like whatever the thing is. I mean, it's your responsibility as you're bringing staff in and you want to grow your team, not shrink it. I think all that stuff makes sense, but you have to be able to adjust. I love that. As your team in working together over the years and just knowing you personally, you've had, staff come and go that don't work for the business, but you haven't taken your business down to made these crazy decisions that, we're going to have to fire 50% of our staff because we just decided to start doing, website building. I don't know. It just made sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's something that comes with moving to market fast and working for Sal. It was like Sal speed and moving fast. Don't worry about all the things that can happen. Put a plan together, go execute on it, pause. What did you do right? What did you do wrong? Make an adjustment, but don't be afraid of the failures and the mistakes. However, you don't go after a big client, a big deal one, and just make shit up and run through it. That is disaster for your business. There's a difference between going to market fast with something and alpha testing it on someone you trust and that understands there's going to be bumps in the road versus alpha testing on somebody and you're giving a bad experience to somebody that doesn't know anything about your business, that you haven't become a trusted advisor in. And now it looks like you just look like an idiot CEO, right? Like there's a massive difference in those things for sure.
Yeah. And I noticed with you guys, like whenever I reach out to you with the crazy ideas, like, hey, Dustin, can you help us with this thing that, is not on Evolve's menu of services, right? You always take a time to build a system for it so that like by the time we roll that out, it is ready to go and almost a foolproof way. The only thing that we have to test on our end is, does it make sense from a cost perspective? But other than that, I know I can count on you when, we do something like have you help us with production and ordering. And when we're having you help us with production on a new type of or new line of photography, something that, you guys haven't done before, I know that like I could reach out to you, tell you what we need. You could put the system together, and then I could send you 10 sessions once you tell me we're a go, and I'm not gonna have to worry about the quality of those jobs.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think to kind of close out, conversation and sort of all of that, I mean, you are at the center of your ecosystem, right? And we are in your pipeline. We are one piece of that ecosystem, regardless of how you measure that, right? But you have disruptor marketing, which integrates really well into these off the menu stuff. And so when you start to use preferred vendors would be that perfect term, like in the wedding industry. But when you use those different vendors that work well together, that's when you have that well-oiled machine and you're going, gosh, it'd be great if all these things communicated. And then I have a single point person here, a single point person there, and you have your people. You have to be able to take a step back as the CEO and say, who are my people to lean on? That's their expertise. They can solve the problem for me. I have the idea to make the money, and I'm going to go and execute on it. I think that has to be always part of the conversation, regardless of who you're working with, right? That's it. That's the key. No, that's it. This has been a very good conversation. I think a lot of pieces about your business. I'm learning even more off this call about your business as we've been working together for over a decade. And I can't thank you enough for taking the time to talk to us. And there'll be more featured photographers of the week coming down the pipe. Thanks again, Mike Anthony, for tuning in with us this week. And we'll catch you guys next time. Take care.